Men will only do this for the woman they love. Ladies and gentlemen, let us consider an age-old question: what is the true measure of love? And what does it mean when a man devotes himself, not just in fleeting emotion, but in consistent action, to a woman he deeply cherishes? A man who truly loves a woman demonstrates his feelings through the profound act of sacrifice, one that comes naturally and without hesitation. Love, in its purest form, transforms his perception of priorities, redirecting his energy toward ensuring her happiness and well-being. This sacrifice is not rooted in obligation or expectation, but arises from a genuine desire to make her life better, safer, and more fulfilling. Such an act is often subtle, unspoken, and deeply meaningful because it is not about grand gestures or public displays, but about the quiet, consistent choices he makes every day. Sacrifice begins with the understanding that her happiness and comfort matter as much as, if not more than, his own. It is a conscious effort to place her needs alongside, or sometimes above, his own. He doesn't see this as losing something. Instead, he perceives it as an opportunity to contribute to her joy and stability. Whether it means putting aside his personal preferences to support her dreams or adapting to situations that bring her peace, the willingness to compromise becomes second nature. This willingness stems from the realization that her fulfillment reflects back on him, creating a relationship of mutual care and growth. For a man deeply in love, sacrifice can manifest in countless ways, often in moments that go unnoticed. It might mean spending hours listening to her when she feels overwhelmed, or stepping in to help with tasks even when he's exhausted from his own commitments. It can be as simple as rearranging his schedule to attend an important event in her life, or as profound as giving up an opportunity because he knows she needs him more in that moment. These choices are made not out of compulsion, but out of a natural inclination to be present for her, to ease her burdens and share in her triumphs. Sacrifice also demands a level of selflessness that challenges the ego. It requires setting aside pride, recognizing that love is not a transaction, but a mutual exchange of care and effort. For instance, when disagreements arise, a man who loves deeply prioritizes resolution over being right. He values the relationship more than his ego and chooses to focus on understanding rather than winning an argument. This doesn't mean he suppresses his voice or opinions, but rather that he seeks a middle ground where both partners feel heard and respected. In doing so, he demonstrates his commitment to the relationship's longevity and health. Another layer of sacrifice lies in his readiness to adapt and grow in response to her needs. This doesn't imply losing his identity, but rather embracing the changes necessary to nurture the relationship. If she needs someone to support her career, he becomes her biggest cheerleader. If she requires emotional stability, he strives to be her anchor. He is willing to stretch himself beyond his comfort zone, not because she demands it, but because her happiness matters to him. In these moments, love pushes him to become a better version of himself, a person capable of contributing to her life in meaningful and uplifting ways. At its core, sacrifice is not about giving up, it's about giving to. A man in love doesn't see his sacrifices as losses because he understands the value of what he's building, a partnership rooted in trust, love, and shared aspirations. He recognizes that every small effort he makes strengthens their bond, creating a foundation that can withstand the inevitable challenges life throws their way. He doesn't view these actions as extraordinary, but rather as integral to loving her completely. Moreover, this kind of love transforms his perspective on time and priorities. Suddenly, what used to matter to him individually takes a back seat to the collective goals they share. Nights spent working late might become evenings spent planning their future together. Their solo adventures may evolve into shared experiences that bring them closer. His willingness to adjust is not a sign of weakness or subjugation, but of a mature understanding that love requires effort, attention, and presence. Sacrifice also reveals itself in how he protects her, not just physically, but emotionally and mentally. He is willing to shield her from unnecessary stress, take on more responsibilities when she feels overwhelmed, or simply be a source of unwavering support when she needs reassurance. This protective instinct is not about control or dominance, but about creating an environment where she feels safe to be herself, to pursue her dreams, and to express her vulnerabilities without fear of judgment. His sacrifices in this realm are a testament to his understanding of her worth and his role in safeguarding her peace of mind. In the end, the sacrifices a man makes for the woman he loves are not about grandeur or recognition. They are the small, consistent actions that build a life together, the choices made in the quiet moments that shape their shared journey. These sacrifices are rooted in respect, empathy, and an unwavering commitment to her happiness. They are a reflection of his understanding that love is not about what he gets, but about what he gives willingly and wholeheartedly. This kind of love, expressed through sacrifice, is rare and beautiful. It is not born out of obligation, but out of the purest intention to see her thrive and flourish. It is the essence of selflessness, the embodiment of devotion, and the cornerstone of a partnership built to last. And in these sacrifices, both big and small, he shows not only the depth of his love, but the strength of his character, proving that true love is far more than a fleeting emotion. It is a lifelong commitment to cherish, protect, and nurture the woman he holds dear. When a man falls deeply in love, something transformative happens within him. His desires and goals become intertwined with the woman he loves, and an innate drive arises within him to better himself, not just for his own sake, but for the relationship they share. This process of self-improvement, sparked by love, is not a temporary endeavor, but a deep, lasting commitment to becoming a more capable, compassionate, and driven individual. The woman he loves becomes the source of his inspiration, his growth, and his evolution. He understands that to truly be the partner she deserves, he must continue to evolve, face his weaknesses, and work relentlessly toward becoming the best version of himself. At the core of this growth is the desire to be a better man, not out of obligation, but because he knows that as he improves, the relationship flourishes. His growth is a reflection of the love he feels for her and the respect he has for their partnership. This shift in mindset changes the way he views life challenges and even his own limitations. He no longer sees himself as merely an individual. He begins to understand that his actions, thoughts, and behaviors have an impact on their shared future. He starts viewing life from a perspective of contribution, knowing that by striving to be better, he is helping to build a stronger foundation for their connection. This commitment to growth begins with a shift in his mindset. He recognizes that self-improvement isn't simply about achieving external success, whether in his career, finances, or social life. It's about becoming a more emotionally intelligent, understanding, and resilient person. The woman he loves provides him with the motivation to confront aspects of himself that he might have ignored or been hesitant to face. He is no longer content with staying stagnant in areas of his life that need attention. Whether it's learning to communicate more effectively, dealing with past emotional baggage, or striving to manage his temper, he begins working on the traits that make him a better partner. One of the most significant ways a man grows when he's in love is in his emotional maturity. Love requires vulnerability, and vulnerability is something many people, especially men, are often reluctant to embrace. But when a man truly loves a woman, he becomes willing to shed the protective armor he has worn for so long and allows himself to be vulnerable in front of her. He doesn't hide behind the facade of strength or invulnerability. Instead, he learns to communicate his fears, dreams, and weaknesses. By doing so, he creates space for emotional intimacy, allowing the relationship to deepen and flourish. He becomes more attuned to his emotions and learns how to express them in healthy, constructive ways. The woman he loves becomes his safe space, and in return, he becomes more open and honest in his emotional expression. Additionally, the commitment to self-improvement extends to the way a man handles challenges and adversity. Love teaches him resilience. Life will inevitably present obstacles, whether in the form of personal struggles, financial difficulties, or relationship conflicts. But when a man is deeply in love, he faces these challenges with a new mindset. He no longer sees setbacks as insurmountable barriers, but as opportunities to prove his strength and dedication. He understands that the key to overcoming life's difficulties is not in avoiding them, but in learning how to face them head-on with patience, persistence, and a willingness to learn from them. His commitment to his own growth is reflected in his approach to problem solving and his determination to navigate life's complexities with grace. The relationship itself becomes a fertile ground for his personal growth. The woman he loves pushes him to be better, not through criticism or demands, but through her support, belief, and the example she sets. She encourages him to pursue his goals, believe in his potential, and rise above his insecurities. She inspires him to take risks, to step outside of his comfort zone and to strive for greatness. Her presence in his life challenges him to question old habits and beliefs, and he becomes more open to learning new ways of thinking, behaving, and loving. She is not just a passive participant in his growth, but an active force that motivates him to constantly reach higher, not just for her, but for himself. Moreover, this self-improvement isn't limited to internal changes, but extends to his actions and behaviors in the world. A man who loves deeply begins to prioritize not just the woman he loves, but also his broader responsibilities in life. He becomes more responsible with his time, his finances, and his commitments. He understands that in order to build a successful and lasting relationship, he must be dependable, stable, and thoughtful. His efforts to better himself spill over into his professional life, his friendships, and his family dynamics. He becomes more grounded, more focused, and more disciplined, knowing that these changes are not just for his own benefit, but for the collective well-being of his relationship and the people he cares about. This drive to become a better version of himself, spurred by love, is not about perfection, but about progress. He understands that growth is a continuous journey, not a destination. It's about consistently striving to be better tomorrow than he was yesterday. And with each step forward, he not only becomes a better man for the woman he loves, but also for himself. The changes he makes are not for external validation or approval. They come from an inner desire to be the best partner, friend, and individual he can be. In the end, the love he has for her serves as a powerful catalyst for his ongoing self-improvement, and in turn, their relationship becomes stronger, deeper, and more fulfilling as they both continue to grow together. A man who truly loves a woman is driven by a powerful instinct to protect her, not just physically, but emotionally and mentally as well. This protective nature runs deeper than the surface level. It's not just about shielding her from harm or defending her from external threats. It's about creating a space where she feels safe to express herself, to be vulnerable, and to thrive. This instinct to protect is not about control or dominance, but rather about nurturing her well-being and ensuring that her heart and mind are free from worry, doubt, or insecurity. It's a love that's steadfast, reliable, and unwavering, providing her with the security that she is valued, cherished, and defended. When a man loves a woman, his protective instincts kick in not just in moments of crisis, but in the everyday details of their life together. This protection begins with the environment he helps create around her. He works to ensure that her physical space is one of peace and safety, where she feels secure and comfortable. Whether that means making sure she feels safe when walking home at night or setting up a space in their home that is calming and relaxing for her, his efforts are always aimed at creating an atmosphere of security. He takes pride in knowing that she can move through the world without fear because he's there to help her navigate it. But this sense of protection goes beyond just the physical realm. A man who loves deeply also understands the emotional vulnerability that love requires. He becomes a source of stability for her during times of stress or emotional turmoil. Whether she's dealing with personal challenges or the ups and downs that come with life, he stands by her side as an emotional anchor. He is her support, ready to listen, to comfort, and to reassure her that no matter what happens, she's not alone. This emotional protection creates a foundation where she feels safe to express her deepest thoughts and fears, knowing that he will not judge or dismiss her feelings, but instead offer understanding and empathy. At the heart of emotional protection is trust. A man who truly loves a woman works hard to build and maintain a deep level of trust with her. He understands that trust is the cornerstone of any strong relationship, and without it, everything else will fall apart. To protect her emotionally, he ensures that he is trustworthy not just through his actions, but through his consistency. He follows through on his promises, remains reliable even in challenging situations, and demonstrates his loyalty through his words and deeds. She can count on him to be there when he says he will be, to stand by her through thick and thin, and to remain steadfast in his commitment to their relationship. This trust extends to his communication with her. A man who loves deeply listens to her concerns, her needs, and her desires, giving her space to be heard without fear of judgment. He becomes her confidant, someone she can turn to with her most intimate thoughts. His protection comes in the form of an open, honest dialogue where both partners are free to express themselves without fear of rejection or ridicule. He values her opinions, respects her autonomy, and is always ready to have difficult conversations, not to win, but to understand and find common ground. This open communication fosters an environment where both partners feel protected from misunderstanding and resentment. In addition to emotional protection, a man in love also provides mental and psychological safety. He is aware of the impact that external stressors can have on her mind and soul. Whether it's work pressure, societal expectations, or personal insecurities, he is there to help her navigate those challenges. He encourages her when she doubts herself, reminding her of her worth and potential. When she's facing challenges, he helps her reframe her perspective, offering constructive support to help her see opportunities instead of obstacles. This mental protection is about being her sounding board, her cheerleader, and her guide, helping her maintain clarity and confidence even in moments of self-doubt. Moreover, his protective instincts are rooted in a deep sense of respect for her individuality. He doesn't try to change her or shape her into something she's not. Instead, he protects her right to be herself, encouraging her to pursue her dreams, passions, and aspirations. A man who loves a woman protects her autonomy, understanding that she is her own person with her own desires and goals. He supports her growth, both as a partner and as an individual, ensuring that she never feels stifled or diminished in the relationship. His love is not possessive but empowering, helping her become the best version of herself while knowing that she is free to chart her own path. Another important aspect of protection in love is safeguarding her from the negativity and toxicity of the world. A man who loves deeply will step in when necessary to shield her from harmful people or situations. This protection isn't about isolating her from the world, but rather about ensuring that she doesn't have to face unnecessary challenges or emotional harm. He acts as a filter, protecting her from negativity that could harm her well-being. He becomes her partner in setting boundaries, ensuring that their relationship remains a sanctuary from the chaos of the outside world. Furthermore, protection in a relationship is about ensuring that the woman he loves feels cherished and valued. He takes the time to show her that she is special to him, not through material gifts or grand gestures, but through small, everyday actions that communicate his care and devotion. Whether it's making her breakfast, sending her a thoughtful message, or simply being present in moments that matter, his actions reflect his desire to protect her happiness and peace of mind. He makes her feel seen, heard, and appreciated in ways that make her feel safe to be vulnerable and open, knowing that she is loved for exactly who she is. In the end, a man who loves a woman goes beyond the surface-level idea of protection. His love is expressed through a multi-dimensional commitment to safeguarding her heart, mind, and soul. He protects her in ways that allow her to feel safe, understood, and supported. His love creates a sanctuary where she can be herself, where she can express her vulnerability without fear, and where she can grow and thrive. Protection in love is not about control, but about creating a space where both partners feel safe, valued, and free to be their most authentic selves. When a man is deeply in love, he begins to see the woman he loves not just as a partner, but as someone who is integral to his life's purpose. He understands that a loving relationship is not just about passion or companionship, but about shared growth, mutual respect, and a deep emotional connection that enriches both lives. In this profound bond, he is willing to sacrifice his time, energy, and resources to ensure that she is happy, healthy, and fulfilled. This commitment to sacrifice is not out of obligation or expectation, but a reflection of his devotion to her well-being and the shared future they are building together. For a man who loves deeply, sacrifice becomes a natural extension of his love. It's not about grand gestures or dramatic acts of giving up everything for her. Instead, it's about the everyday decisions and small acts of kindness that demonstrate his willingness to prioritize her needs alongside his own. He understands that love requires compromise and is willing to put her needs first when it matters most, whether that means adjusting his schedule to spend time with her, supporting her through challenges, or making sacrifices in his own life for the sake of the relationship. One of the most important ways a man sacrifices for the woman he loves is through his time. Time is one of the most valuable resources a person has, and when a man chooses to invest his time in the relationship, it demonstrates his commitment. He is willing to set aside personal interests, hobbies, and sometimes even his career aspirations to make sure she feels loved, appreciated, and supported. Whether it's spending a quiet evening together after a long day, taking care of her when she's ill, or dedicating time to her dreams and goals, the time he spends with her becomes a form of sacrifice that reflects his love and devotion. This sacrifice also extends to emotional energy. Relationships, particularly loving ones, require a great deal of emotional investment. A man in love understands this and is willing to invest his emotional energy into the relationship. He is there to listen to her concerns, comfort her when she is upset, and offer emotional support during challenging times. He gives her the space to express herself without judgment, providing a safe and nurturing environment where she can feel heard and understood. In doing so, he sacrifices his own emotional space at times to ensure that she feels supported and cared for. The emotional energy he invests in her strengthens the bond they share, helping them navigate difficult moments together and come out stronger on the other side. Sacrifice also manifests in the form of personal growth and self-improvement. A man in love is willing to examine his own flaws, work on his weaknesses, and make changes in his life for the betterment of the relationship. He recognizes that love is not just about what he can receive, but what he can give. He sacrifices his pride and ego to be vulnerable, to communicate openly, and to resolve conflicts in a constructive manner. He strives to be a better person, not just for himself, but for her as well. This willingness to grow and change for the relationship is one of the most profound sacrifices a man can make, as it requires him to confront his own insecurities and embrace a journey of personal transformation. In addition to emotional and personal growth, a man's sacrifice often extends to his career and professional aspirations. While he may have his own dreams and goals, a man who loves deeply understands that sometimes the needs of the relationship and his partner come before his own ambitions. This doesn't mean he abandons his career or stops pursuing his goals, but rather he is willing to make adjustments to support the relationship. He may take on fewer work hours to spend more time with her, turn down certain career opportunities if they conflict with their plans, or take on additional responsibilities at home to support her professional endeavors. This balancing act of ambition and love demonstrates his willingness to sacrifice for the woman he loves, putting the relationship and shared future above individual desires. The sacrifices a man makes in love also extend to the way he supports her dreams and goals. He understands that love isn't about stifling his partner's aspirations, but about helping her realize her full potential. He makes sacrifices by putting his own desires aside to help her achieve her dreams, whether it's offering encouragement during her studies, helping her pursue her career goals, or supporting her personal interests. He recognizes that her success is just as important as his own. His sacrifices allow her the space to grow, knowing that she has a partner who believes in her and is willing to support her journey, even if it requires him to take a step back in certain areas of his own life. One of the most powerful forms of sacrifice is the willingness to face discomfort for the sake of the relationship. Love often requires a man to step out of his comfort zone, whether that means confronting difficult conversations, making tough decisions, or taking on responsibilities he hadn't planned for. He may have to sacrifice his own desires for peace in order to have challenging discussions that strengthen the relationship. He may need to let go of personal comfort to address issues in the relationship, putting in the effort to work through misunderstandings, differences, or conflicts. These sacrifices demonstrate his commitment to the relationship's long-term health and his dedication to ensuring that both partners are happy and fulfilled.